Right, hello, evening, welcome back. In tonight's video we're going to look at some simple chipping ideas because a friend of mine, Richard Coberman, a gentleman who I teach, he's asked me for some help with his chipping because he's struggling a little bit at the minute. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Right, okay, so welcome back to the channel. My name's Jack, this is Jack Lee Golf. If this is your first time round here, please make sure that you're doing the usuals of liking, subscribing, sharing, all that kind of cool stuff. I have been doing a video a day during this quarantine period, so if you've liked what you've seen so far, do all them, that'd be massively appreciated. Right, without further ado, let's talk about chipping. In this video I'm just basically going to tell you some do's and don'ts. So first of all, let's look at the setup as a whole. So one thing that I like to see is a nice narrow width of stance. So my width of stance ideally tends to be about a club head's width apart. Now you're looking for a full shot round about shoulder width apart. When you're doing your short little chips like this, I'd say a club head's width. One thing that I also like to do as well is just ever so slightly withdraw. Now that we've got a setup kind of half decent, the reason why we go for a real narrow width of stance is that if you look at my ball position when it's very wide, there's a lot more chance that you can have it slightly too far back, you could have it slightly too far forward. With a nice real narrow stance, if I were to move this to my right heel, it's still very central. Likewise, if I were to move it more towards my left heel, still central. You can still hit some good chip shots from that kind of area. So first tip, keep that stance nice and narrow. Next up, weight distribution. So I think what a lot of poor chippers tend to do is that as they're making the motion of the chip shot, they will put a lot of weight on this back side, on the trail side, and they'll want to flip it. Now, this is a big no-no for me. We've got, on this golf club here, actually at my wedge collection, this one. Can you see why it's one of my favourites? On this golf club we've got 54 degrees of loft. There's no need for us to want to add more by staying back on our trail side and flipping it up in the air. It's our job to deliver that golf club roundabout whereabout that ball is. The reason why I say roundabout and not exactly where that ball is because we have this little angle here called bounce. Now, I don't know if bounce is the best term for it. I would prefer if it was called help because that's what it does in this situation. So if you're delivering this club to the ground anywhere near where that ball is, I'd say 2 or 3 inch, even behind it, sometimes you get away with it. If you're using that bounce correctly, you're still going to hit an half decent chip shot. So coming back to weight distribution, what I like to see is ever so slightly feel as though your weight is in your left side. So if I were to split this between like 100, I would say it's 60-40 on your lead side. Not like 100 where you can lift your right foot off the floor, but certainly just a little bit of a lean into your left side. Combine that with your nice narrow stance, we're well on our way to hitting half decent chip shots. That's pretty good, wasn't it? First take that, no? Right, the motion itself now, the actual chipping stroke. I've heard people talk of it before as it being like an extended putting stroke, which I don't mind. The reason why I don't mind that is because I like the feeling for someone that's struggling with the chipping that they're keeping this golf club super low on the way back and super low on the way through. I see problems start to occur when people think that they have to lift it up straight away and dump it back into the ground because then you can hit shots like that from time to time. For me, it's not exactly like a putting stroke because I think there's a bit more acceleration required. I'd advise everyone to keep the grip super soft. So if we're talking on a grip pressure scale out of 10, I'm at like a 2 or even a 3 when it comes to my chip shot. So real nice and light hands on the golf club, and definitely feeling as though you're keeping that blade lower on the way back and then lower on the way through, and then just collecting that ball on the way through like that. Now the last idea I'm going to give to you is all about radius control, and I know that sounds super technical, but all that means is we start with a triangle in the setup, as you can see right there. That triangle tends to break down in the poorer chippers' actions from what I see mostly from time to time. If you were to make a move like we said earlier where you feel as though you have to flick the golf club and add loft, which you definitely don't, what you'll notice as it happens is that radius, the distance between your hands and the club head and the golf ball, that relationship changes. So the big thing for me is just feeling as though you're returning that golf club back to where it needs to be, and then the golf club's going to do the rest. So keeping that blade nice and low on the way back, nice and low on the way through, and just collecting it on the way up. Trick shot. Right guys, so there you go. That was kind of my essential guide to the basics, the fundamentals of chipping. If you want to see me do other videos like specialist shots such as bump and run shots, high flop shots, I can certainly talk you through a few of those. If you want to see me doing them, make sure you're doing the usuals of liking the video, subscribing if you've not done so already, and leave me a comment in the comment section below. What shot type would you like me to show you in these short game videos? So yeah, there you go, that's pretty much it from me today. If you've liked this video, like I said, like, share, subscribe, stay indoors, stay safe. See you tomorrow, similar kind of time. Laters.